of the Pan-African Parliament amongst the African Union organs signaled a historical milestone and perhaps the most important development in the strengthening of the African Union institutional architecture. It laid solid grounds for the democratic governance and oversight within the African Union system and provided a formal platform for the peoples of Africa to get involved in discussions and decision-making on issues affecting the continent. The genesis of the Pan-African Parliament can be legally traced back from 1991 with the adoption of the treaty establishing the African Economic Community, adopted on 3rd of June 1991 in Abuja, also known as the Abuja Treaty. This treaty defined the pillars and grounds of realizing economic development and integration in Africa and called for the creation of a continental parliament amongst a set of organs as tools for the realization of African integration and economic development. This call was re-emphasized in the SADC Declaration of 1999, which called for the accelerated implementation of the provisions of the Abuja Treaty. At the time of the transformation of the Organization of African Unity into the African Union, the Constitutive Act of the African Union, in keeping with the vision of the signatories to the Abuja Treaty and the SADC Declaration, set out the AU institutional architecture, which included the PAP. The Pan-African Parliament celebrated its 10 years of existence in March 2014, a year which coincided with the adoption on 27 June 2014 in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, of the protocol to the Constitutive Act of the African Union relating to the Pan-African Parliament, PAP Malabo Protocol, which once in force will transform the PAP into a quasi-legislative body of the AU. While the PAP Malabo Protocol requires 28 ratifications for its entry into force, it has to date been ratified by 15 AU member states with 21 signatures. For the time being, the PAP continues to operate under the SADC Protocol, which defines its mandate. 6 parliaments have been inaugurated since 2004.
So we cannot revolutionize the situation of Africa if we don't take the women seriously and don't change the work of women into a better, with technology, applying technology and science.
Je sollicite la participation active et sans réserve des parlementaires nationaux, régionaux et panafricains à soutenir la position commune et unique de l'Afrique pour d'un côté des gouvernements africains par l'enjeu bien plus technique mais politique. Il s'agit d'affirmer le soutien des parlementaires et des sommes à tous les échelons régionaux pour que vive le protocole de Keynote pour la survie de notre continent.
The Pan-African Parliament remains a platform for African people and their grassroots organizations to make an input into the decision-making process on challenges and problems facing our continent.
La première leçon que je tire, c'est que le Parlement est en bonne voie. La deuxième leçon, c'est que nous avons pris un certain nombre de résolutions, notamment cette résolution concernant la ratification du protocole de Malabo, qui fera du Parlement panafricain un organe législatif. Et nous pensons que ce message doit aller dans chaque État partie pour que nous puissions ratifier.
We've gone some way in reviving, renewing, repositioning, and reinvigorating the Pan-African Parliament in line with our whole strategic track. We have a lot of issues on this continent. As people have confidence in us, they are simply saying, you are the right people to push the agenda of the continent. And the agenda of the continent is littered with a lot of challenge.
The PAP has made commendable efforts in promoting the ratification, domestication, and implementation of the AU Shared Values Instruments, including the ratification of the African Charter on Democracy, Elections, and Governance, African Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption, African Charter on Values and Principles of Public Service and Administration, African Charter on Human and People's Rights on the Rights of Women in Africa, amongst others. The 20th anniversary commemoration serves as a platform to educate citizens about the PAP and ignite conversations about the future of the Continental Parliament in line with its mandate. The occasion further serves as a reminder to decision makers around the continent to fulfill their commitment to the PAP by ratifying its revised protocol, now 20 years after sanctioning its establishment. The Parliament has embarked on a process of reviving, renewing, repositioning, and reinvigorating itself to outline a vision for the future, identifying key areas for improvement and expansion, and emphasize the role of the Parliament in the African Union's Agenda 2063 and other regional development initiatives. It's time to reflect on the journey and chart a path forward. "20 years ago,
Please stand. Our guests of honor, excellencies, honorable members. Because we now have the guest of honor with us, we will sing the AU anthem for a second time this morning. Can we proceed with the AU anthem?
So unite and celebrate together. Let us song for our liberation. Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together to defend our liberty and unity. Oh, feliz el día del African, Shady soleil, Shady ciel, Faites l'Africa benedicte. Let us all unite and sing together to uphold the bond that spread my destiny. Let us dedicate ourselves to fight together for life, peace and justice on earth. Oh, we as the Africa, essência do sol, essência do céu. Façamos da África da vida. Let us all unite and talk together to give the best we have to Africa. And bring along mankind in front of culture. Our pride and hope and breath of God. Yeah, now, Africa. Assumption into sama Africa Shah to Alliance.
Thank you. Be seated.
Honorable President, at this stage, I would like to invite you to deliver your remarks.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. May I first of all recognize our guest of honor, His Excellency Ambassador Professor Miguel Cesar Dominicus Bembe, Ambassador of the Republic of Angola to Ethiopia and UNECA and Chairperson of the Permanent Representative Council, which we refer to always as the PRC. The Deputy Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Honorable Thandi Moraka, be representing the government of South Africa. Vice Presidents of Pan-African Parliament, the Honorable Speaker, of the Parliament of Sahrawi National Council, Excellency Hilarion Etong, President of the President of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Francophonie, APF. Excellency Mrs. Nandos Bekele Thomas, the CEO of AUDA-NEPAD. Excellency Ambassador Marie Antoinette Rose, CEO of the African Peer Review Mechanism. Honorable Sylvia Lucas, Vice President of the SADC Parliamentary Forum. Honorable Bernard Ahiofo, Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly of Ghana. Our representatives, permanent representatives, excellencies, ambassadors coming from Addis, and we have, I know, the Dean of the Southern Caucasus ambassadors in Addis, Excellency Nyamdeza, also the chair of the PRC subcommittee on budget, Excellency George. Excellencies, ambassadors representing member states in the Republic of South Africa. Excellencies, ambassadors of Pan-African Parliament, the clerk of Pan-African Parliament, Mr. Indwe Kumalo, the clerk of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, Ms. Boemo Segoma. We have representatives of the diaspora in this room. We salute you. Our esteemed partners, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed, I would like to request that we observe a minute of silence in honor of the former President of Nigeria, the late Muhammadu Buhari, who passed on 13 July 2025, as well as the late former President of Zambia, Edgar Chagwa, who was also called to higher glory on 5 June 2025. May their departed souls rest in peace. Can we observe a minute of silence? Thank you. Excellencies, honorable members of Pan-African Parliament, and all the invited guests in this room. Pan-African Parliament is in its first session of the year to consider various items for 2 weeks, beginning today. But before, we had what we call pre-session business, which included the Bureau itself meeting. We had a retreat of the Peace and Security Council, the bureaucracies meetings, and today we are officially opening the session. And the only reason why we meet in this fashion, in this room, coming from various countries, having the PRC ambassadors, other partners, ambassadors from Pretoria who represent various countries. The only reason we are gathered and spending money, flying here and staying in hotels is because we are a continent that is seeking to improve the quality of life of its people. We are here assembled to improve the quality of lives of our people on the continent. And as you know, we are bedeviled with a lot of challenges. A lot of challenges. Pages and pages of challenges. And we are entrusted by the citizens of this country. We are entrusted by this country to address those problems. And we should make sure that we are committed. Ordinarily, we should have met in May. It has been traditional to meet in May, in session, May and October. But we are meeting in July for reasons that we all now know well. Unfortunately, the PRC representatives are in this room, and the chair is in this room. The only delay is because we did not have resources to convene in May. But thank you very much. Through the PRC, we did presentations as the Bureau of the Pan-African Parliament. I think more than 3 or 4 meetings, separate times. And we were then allocated an amount of 650,000 and to enable us to proceed with the business. And also take from the November session in the hope that the supplementary budget will support us to hold the November session. So congratulations that this session has taken off, as we thank the PRC for considering our case favorably. And we are gathered. I think it's fortunate that we should clap our hands and say things. It's a good thing. We should show happiness. Show happiness that this has happened. We are meeting against the background of the theme of the year, which is justice for Africans and the people of African descent through reparations. I need not go into much detail about that one. We are all Africans. We come from countries that experienced oppression, subjugation, deprivation, and we lost. We lost in terms of wealth, we lost in terms of humanity, Ubuntu, culture, social artifacts, we lost. So this is a theme of the people of Africa. And Pan-African Parliament, being a platform for the citizens of this continent, we expect that this parliament will push this agenda with all the energy and enthusiasm that we show ourselves that we are the people who represent Africa very well. I want to move to the issues that have emerged working with the African Union. You are all aware that we are the parliament of the continent. This message, we continue projecting it at every opportunity, and more so to the African Union, that when PAP was established in 2004, the OAU had taken more than 20 years discussing the issue of the need of a parliament. it is instructive that when the OAU in 1963 was formed, we did not have a parliament for the continent. There was no parliament. From 1963, the parliament only came in 2004. But as the parliament was born, you also had the Peace and Security Council, you had the AUDA-NEPAD, you also had the APRM. Because of the realization that the previous architecture of the OAU, of course, had been more focused on liberation, independence for everybody on the continent. But as we now move to more developmental-oriented OAU, it was an imperative that you have a parliament. You have your APRM. You have your Court of Africa. You have the developmental agency. You have even ECOSOC. All these were formed for a purpose. Unfortunately, in the AU, because of changes in leadership as we go, those who come later sometimes forget why, even why the parliament was set up. Some look at the parliament as if it is an expense and an unnecessary institution or organ. But all over the world, there's in governance, the whole issue of the three arms of the state. We don't need to go to the theory of why the state has to have three arms. Otherwise, in terms of governance, there are missing legs. The OAU is the missing legs like the parliament. You need it, it's an imperative. You can't do without it. Thank you. I'm just being reminded that I forgot to say the ambassador of Comoros to Ethiopia, His Excellency Yusuf Osmani Madonna. He is the overall dean of ambassadors in Ethiopia. I had overlooked it. Now I'm reminded. You know what? He is insisting that I need to be recognized for what I am. Can we clap for him? By the same token, PAP has to be recognized for what it is as a parliament. Can we clap again? Yes. We are also insisting that we need to be recognized, even within the AU family, for what we are as a parliament of the continent. So when you forget that, we join Ambassador Yusuf in protesting to say, no, please don't forget me. Please don't forget PAP. And the point I'm making is very fundamental, because when we come to issues like budget in the AU, even our roles in the AU, we see that some people don't appreciate what a parliament is and how it works. And sometimes a simple one, here when our committee on agriculture, for example, is requesting for funds to undertake activities as a committee of agriculture, some will say, no, there's a commissioner for agriculture in the AU. So it's duplication. But when we go to all your countries, anyone in this room comes from a country, all your countries, you have a ministry of agriculture. You also have a portfolio committee on agriculture in parliament. And both of them are funded. But when we come to the AU, you find, no, you are not supposed to do that. So let's recognize the parliament for what it is and enable it to perform, so that we don't attack the parliament for not doing anything, yet the parliament is a legitimate body or organ of the union. And we see, as we do budgeting, sometimes we forget our parliament. And still on the financial issues, which are very important for now, is that Your Excellency, our guest of honor, Professor, Ambassador Professor, just want to repeat very critical information, which is that Pan-African Parliament budget in 2020, when the AU discussed the 2021 budget, they reduced the budget from about 19 million to 10. And the argument was that because of COVID, which had been announced in 2020, from 2021, PAP or any other organ, you don't need all those monies that support physical meetings. So a lockdown COVID budget was agreed for 2021. Lockdown COVID budget was agreed for 2021. And that budget meant reducing the budget for the statutory meeting of PAP from 800,000 to 265. And that 265 is meant for translation interpretation only. But the argument was, you are not going to meet physically anywhere. It will all be virtual. And then when you come to the mid-year plenary session like this one, the budget was cut from 1.3 to 450. Again, the argument was, you will be in your countries and you'll attend virtually. So that's the budget from 2021. But that budget, after COVID, has remained the same. And that's the crisis of Pan-African Parliament. It is the same lockdown budget. These figures of 265 is what we see even today in the budget for 2025. This budget of 450 for the session instead of 1.3 million is the same figure you see in the budget. As a result, even committees were told there will be no physical hearings, missions, so no funding, zero. And today we remain the same. Yet, we have been given a mandate in terms of the protocol and the rules of Pan-African Parliament. We have a mandate that everyone expects us to deliver. And that mandate, I want to say, it is of ensuring, and I'm quoting here, I'm quoting the Constitutive Act, the mandate of ensuring the full participation of African peoples in the economic development and integration of the continent. And then, if you want to go to everything, PAP is also expected, again, in terms of the protocol, to facilitate the effective implementation of policies and objectives of the African Union. And then number 2, promote the principles of human rights and democracy in Africa. 3, encourage good governance, transparency and accountability in member states. 4, familiarize the peoples of Africa with the objectives and policies aimed at integrating African continent within the framework of the establishment of the African Union. And 5, promote peace, security, and stability. 6, contribute to a more prosperous future for the peoples of Africa by promoting collective self-reliance and economic recovery. 7, facilitate cooperation and development in Africa. 8, strengthen continental solidarity and build a sense of common destiny among the peoples of Africa. And 9, facilitate cooperation among regional economic communities and their parliamentary fora. Most of these things, when we go for budget, we are told this duplication with the other, so they may not be funded. And when you go to what are called moonshots, all these 9 end up one moonshot. We are a parliament, we oversight all activities of the union. We belong to all moonshots. We hope that message is now clear and in the future we'll get more support. Your Excellency, we are a performance-oriented, results-based parliament. We have taken robust work as a parliament. We have met as a full parliament to declare and say we are a performance-oriented parliament. And based on these functions in the protocol, we want to excel. And we met and agreed that we want to revive PAP, renew PAP, reposition it, reinvigorate Pan-African Parliament. And that's the course we are taking. Despite some stumbling blocks, we are still determined to perform. All we need is support. We support from the union mainly. The citizens are with us. MPs of PAP with regard to their work at PAP, they are the only people in the world who work without pay or allowance. In the world, there is no parliament that sits without giving what is called a sitting allowance. In the whole world. Thank you for clapping, because if you didn't, I was going to withdraw that statement. I was going to withdraw it because it appears it's true. These people we meet, we used to get allowances, sitting allowances. But along the way, the terrain has been very turbulent. We earn the allowance for 3, 4, 5 years. For some reason, AU says no, stop. We come back, we earn allowances for 5 years, stop. Now we stopped in 2019. 96 years, this is the 6th year of parliamentarians coming and going without getting any allowance. Fortunately, honorable members, fortunately, okay, there are two critical issues. One, Article 10 of the protocol establishing Pan-African Parliament says members of Pan-African Parliament shall be paid allowances when they do their business. It's there in the protocol. Fortunately, this year, in February, honorable members, because we want also to engage you, your ambassadors in Addis, engage your foreign ministers. This year in February, the AU, through its policy organ, and mainly the Executive Council, the foreign ministers, decided and directed the PRC to give us a budget so that MPs are paid allowances. There is a decision by the Executive Council, and this is very important. In terms of the protocol, Constitutive Act, the Executive Council is the admin policy organ. On such issues, once they decide it's over, it has to be implemented. So, we need the allowances. There's a law. Usually they'll say, but there's no decision. There's no decision. The decision is now there that PAP members be paid allowances. And we hope this is going to start soonest than later. Sorry? Now. Now. We are lucky. We have key people here who make such decisions. And we believe they will say yes. But look, we have the legal understanding that you should get your allowances. So we believe it's going to happen. Now, I said soonest. I don't know what that means. But you said now. I think your language is clearer than mine. So we should follow your language. Yes. One area that PAP should be seen to be very, very active. And following our retreat some 3 days ago, if not 4 days ago, with the Peace and Security Council of the African Union, who were in this chamber. A rare thing that had happened maybe 11 years ago. The ambassadors came to PAP. They sat in this chamber, MPs in this chamber, and we shared, engaged, interrogated issues around conflicts in Africa. Live debate, MPs and ambassadors, that how can we address these problems of conflicts on the continent? And one of the major outcomes was we now have a clear roadmap that will ensure closest coordination between the Parliament, the Peace and Security Council, and the Commission for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, led by Ambassador Bankole, that we are now going to work very closely. Wherever there is a problem on the continent, we work together. Something that was not happening. The Parliament will now be more involved in issues of conflict on this continent. And there are clear points that we need to pursue. And the whole issue of institutional arrangement, we are very optimistic. Through our Committee on Cooperation, International Relations and Conflict Resolution, we'll make sure that this Parliament, everybody, it's not for only one committee. Conflict involves everybody. And with the dynamism in you, that you are involved at the local level, whether urban or rural in your countries, you should be able even to assist in early warning systems as parliamentarians. Early warning, you are the ones who can see that the way people are thinking, the mood is bad. If nothing is done, we are going to have problems. So peace and security, we are going to be very close with the AU structures, and see that we do a lot of information sharing, the role in conflict prevention, early warning systems, commitment to democracy, governance, and human rights is one big problem which is causing conflicts. So as PAP, can we do more in ensuring that we don't just talk about governance, democracy, but we want to see that these things are actually happening and there's good governance. We'll have joint missions, joint field missions, and with the Peace and Security Council as Pan-African Parliament. And then jointly advance the Ezulini consensus. Ezulini consensus is about that the AU should act as one block on issues that confront us at the global level. Issues like composition of the Security Council with respect to permanent members, that we need 2 members from, or member states from Africa to be part of the UN Security Council on a permanent basis. In the broader Security Council, yes, Clep, that's good. Yeah, that's very good. But there's a calling now, which came out from the retreat by ambassadors, that the PAP, can you play even a more leading role in pushing these issues? They should not just be issues of the ambassadors, the foreign ministers, the heads of state. Where is PAP? Where is PAP on these issues? And they said, please, we need to hear the PAP voice on major international issues, including Zulini, including this issue of the financial system, World Bank, IMF. And then there's a call to say, Pan-African Parliament, perform your duties with respect to ratification of protocols. With respect to ratification of protocols, we were told in Malabo recently that since 1963, when OAU was formed, I think it is, I know the figures will elude my mind, I think more than 70 protocols, agreements were signed, which have to graduate now into ratifications. Of that 70-something, since 1963, almost 30 have not been ratified since 1963. And it's the duty of PAP to ensure that ratifications are done. I'm summarizing so that I finish now. Otherwise, I have a lot of information. The issue of African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, please, we as a parliament, we have a trade committee on trade, immigration, and the rest. Please, we need a SPAP to understand our role and then make sure that is implemented, because through AfCFTA, the continent will grow its economies, or each country will benefit and expand our economies. And even this issue of youth, the youth will have opportunities, because when economies expand, the youth will also come in. So, and it relates to AUDA-NEPAD. AUDA-NEPAD, we are with you. Please, aspects of your work should also be given to the PAP as representatives of the people, who should also work with you closely and make sure the program succeeds. And even APRM, they go around, they hear about governance issues, democracy, politics in various countries. And they produce reports. Those reports come to this parliament. They never come as they used to. There's a lot of reports on country governance situations, so that the parliament can also pursue further some of those issues. There's the issue of USA tariffs on Africa. It has also come to us, to our attention, it was discussed in the retreat. This issue of US sanctions, and in Malabo recently, the media summit, it was an issue. What is PAP doing? The way America has imposed sanctions. And one of our speakers the other day said, why are you blaming Trump? Trump is simply taking care of his country, the interests of his country. So those tariffs are simply meant to hit hard on you, and then they benefit. Every leader wants his territory to be the best. Of course, when you look at it, the way it is done, of course, there's a bit of There's a bit of extremism, presidential extremism. Sometimes you have to respect status quo. So, but PAP should be seen and seen to be also should take an active role. And we discussed the other day, South Africa became a victim of these tariffs on very false allegations. False allegations. And then they said we are imposing some tariffs. We need to stand in solidarity with South Africa, because one of the allegations was that you are taking land by force. Yes. We need to, yes. Honorable Majimbo, thank you very much for taking the lead. We need to, this is the weakness of South Africa. You see, Africa is not united. Europe, they fought wars, First World War, Second World War. But now they have a very strong economic bloc and united. Africa, we are still divided. So when your brother or sister is attacked, the way it was done on South Africa, surely we should stand, especially as PAP, in solidarity with South Africa, that no, you can't do this to South Africa. Being punished about their land, you have taken land, we should stand closer with South Africa. As I said, institutional reforms. The AU has been undergoing reforms, restructuring. It has taken maybe more than 6 years. They intend to conclude maybe end of this year or sometimes next year. They also have, the reforms affect PAP. There are areas where we are not happy the way they approach to the reforms because they are wanting to simplify things and talk of what's called the shared services everywhere. We believe they have not understood exactly what shared services means or how it has been applied elsewhere, and that whilst the PAP is understaffed, they are trying even to reduce staff complement. But I want to say this, Your Excellency, Chair of the PRC and Guest of Honor, that in this Parliament, we have lost staff who have retired. The head of finance, we have no head of finance, we have no head of HR, no head in audit, in monitoring and evaluation, in international relations. Those have retired on account of age. But for us to recruit, the AU system has not allowed that. And when we make a move, they tell us there's no budget to recruit. So we are now locked in a situation where key staff are absent. And without a budget to recruit, we are dead. For your information, new commissioners have been recruited at the AU. I don't need to go through the names. They complete their 4-year tenure. One was retained, Bankole, to do another 4 years. We congratulate him for that. But in our program, Your Excellency, we are dedicating a whole day on G20, on the theme of the African Union. We are also going to dedicate a lot of time on AI, artificial intelligence. Among other things, every sector, health, transport, we are doing education, we are doing a review and debate on what are the issues in every sector for the 2 weeks. And we are happy that this time AU has supported us at the level that you've come. We have never had a PRC chair being part here. We have never had ambassadors who are in this room, deans, chairpersons, and even local ambassadors, and even our partners, our friends, AUDA-NEPAD and APRM, all present. South African government is always present, and I want to say, can we clap loudly for them? And we are told that the host country agreement, which all of you know about, which prescribes or provides for some way, the way we are handled as MPs or some of our benefits and this, when we were in South Africa, for our comfort and peace. When we were in South Africa, that was agreement draft. They say it's almost, it's not a new thing. It has existed, but improvements only. It's coming to us, they said, by the end of this month, for PAP to also look at it and be able to respond. The minister seated here from South Africa has never been absent whenever we invite. He's never been absent. He has never been late. Not only absent, but he comes very early. She has supported us very well. We raised, and I am now closing, we raised the issue of MPs, headaches they face with the visa to come to South Africa. She's aware of that issue. At one time, when we meet, even our guests of honor, when we meet as MPs, we can say we are ending session on the 1st of August. But sometimes before we leave, new business arises. And then we argue that instead of these MPs going back and come back again, to be too expensive. Why, since they are already here, can we extend another stay by 3 or 4 days? When they do so, they get to the airport, they are detained. they are detained that they have overstayed. I think these are issues that we need to address. And this whole issue of visa each time a parliamentarian comes to South Africa. And when you know that in some countries there is no embassy, South African embassy in some countries. So the parliamentarian has to go to another country to secure a visa. What an expense. Is it necessary? This is an international institution. We've been proposing that please open them up, give them open visas, just for 2 years, for example. No need for every session in May, August, and the committee business 5 times a year. A member of PAP seeks to secure a visa. But I understand you have been working very hard, and I'm told either a 2-way visa is coming soon, or when MPs come for session, they will have like 90 days, although they are staying for 1 week. But that's not the ultimate. The ultimate is not for MPs to go look for visas each time they have to come back to South Africa. I think let's address that one. I think on this note, I've tried to touch on critical issues. I can't touch on everything. There are so many things, but on the critical issues. And before I take my seat, it's appropriate now and befitting that our minister representing the government of South Africa, the host government, the host country, comes and takes to the podium to welcome us to this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the President of the Pan-African Parliament, His Excellency Chief Fortune Sharumbira, the guest of honor to this parliamentary sitting, His Excellency Ambassador Professor Miguel Cesar Bembe, who's the ambassador of the Republic of Angola to Ethiopia. The Honorable Speaker of the Sahrawi National Council, the Honorable Hama Salama, who has really graced us with his presence, the President of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Francophone, His Excellency Hilarion Itong, the CEO of AUDA-NEPAD, Your Excellency Madam Nardos Bekele Thomas, the CEO of African Peer Review Mechanism, Her Excellency Ambassador Marie Antoinette Rose, the Honorable Vice President of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, who's also a Member of Parliament in the South African Parliament, Honorable Sylvia Lucas, the Honorable Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly of Ghana, Your Excellency Honorable Bernard Ahiofo, Excellencies representative of the Permanent Representative Committee that are here present today, Excellencies ambassadors representing various member states here in the Republic of South Africa that have graced this occasion here today. I've seen several of them. The clerk of the Pan-African Parliament, Ms. Lindiwe Khumalo, the Secretary General of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, Ms. Buemo Sekgoma from Botswana, the representative of the diaspora, who have also graced us with their presence here today, our esteemed members of this parliament who were sworn in today that are new from the box. Can we welcome them with a round of applause? Members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is with profound honor and a great responsibility that I address you today on behalf of the Republic of South Africa as the host country to the seat of the Pan-African Parliament that is taking place starting from today. As we gather here in this esteemed chamber, we do so under the banner of the African Union's theme for this year, 2025, which reads as follows: Justice for Africans and people of the African descent through reparations, close quote. Excellencies, this theme calls for our collective reflection and our united action and the commitment to a vision of reparatory justice and the restorative healing for all Africans and the people of African descent. I wish to appreciate the AU for having provided leadership in this year, 2025, where we need to address issues of reparatory justice, because this issue has always been a thorny issue every time when we participate with those that have been at the center of colonizing us as the countries of Africa. We are really humbled that the AU's leadership has elevated this matter, and we are hoping that we are going to find a lasting solution to all the people of African descent who have been victims of issues of slave trade and issues of colonialism. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have noted with great concern the issues as raised by His Excellency, the President of PAP, Honorable Chief Fortune Sharumbira, as he was addressing us this morning. The issues of visa for all of you as you travel to South Africa, it has always been at the center of this 7th administration that is led by His Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa. And I'm pleased to report to all of you that there would be a visa waiver for all the African countries commencing from the 1st of October going forward. We are doing that with a conscious mind, bearing in mind that Africans need no visa to travel amongst each other as Africans. We are also humbled by the solidarity of the Pan-African Parliament with the South African brothers and sisters amidst the current geopolitical tensions driven by issues of tariff barriers and issues of disinformation that has been meted to the African countries, especially driven by the superpower houses that wants to continue with the unipolar world dominance as opposed to the multipolar world that we seek to build. And we need to assure you that will utilize our presence in several multilateral forums as the country of South Africa to make it a point that the voices of Africans are heard by those that matters the most. I must also applaud you as the Bureau in ensuring that in this August House, we make it a point that we live up to the values of this AU's theme that I spoke about, which is justice for Africans and people of African descent through reparatory justice. It is through your leadership, Honorable President, that we have seen the closer collaboration between BAP as an organ of the AU with the 6th region diplomatic missions and other strategic sectors that you continue to partner and collaborate with. This collaboration will ensure the unity as we collectively seek to advance the aspirations of the African continent and the African diaspora every time when we get an opportunity to do that. It is no doubt that the African Union has recognized the undeniable need for reparations as a means of addressing the centuries of exploitation, enslavement, colonialism, and institutionalized racism that has left deep scars on the African continent and its people generally. Hence, the time has come for the global community to confront the legacy of historical crimes that took place in the form of slavery and the slave trade and the transatlantic slave trade, and also issues of colonialism and apartheid. Honorable President and members, you should agree with the theme for reparations now, because the issue is not only on financial restitution, but the issue for us as African people is more about restoring the dignity of the African people and also ensuring that Africans can heal from the wounds of the past wherein we were subjected to those by the colonial powers that used to colonize us. We want to assure you that the reparatory justice can come to us in a form of apologizing, because it doesn't take anything away from those who were colonizing us to say to us that I am sorry. It doesn't take anything from those who used to oppress us to say, here are measures that we can utilize to make sure that we bring about unity of purpose so that we build a brighter future for all the people of African descent. We are going to make it a point that South Africa works very closely with the Pan-African Parliament this year in this theme so that we can address these issues of healing from the ugly past where we were colonized by those who were at the center of our colonial eras. South Africa is both proud and humbled to host the Pan-African Parliament session as we navigate the challenging times of tight fiscal conditions, and our commitment in supporting PAP has never wavered, Honorable President, and we'll do everything in our power to give you the necessary support given the limited resources that we are having. We are doing that, of course, in recognition of the importance of this institution and the work it does to represent people of Africa as a whole, and also the crucial pursuit of the African Union broader objectives. As we collectively confront issues of global challenges, from issues of climate change and the change on critical issues that continue to confront us as the people of the continent, we always say that Africa is rich with its mineral endowment. But why do we still have Africa that is so poor in the manner in which it is today? Can we start to be a continent that is self-reliant because of the rich resources that we have? Because without us exporting these mineral resources raw as they are, we can be able to build strong economies for the countries of this continent and be able to service our constituencies where we are leading them. Mr. President and members, South Africa is honored to be the presidency and the host of the G20 in this year, 2025, because we have taken the baton from Brazil last year. And it is an opportunity that positions us as a critical player as Africans in the entire global economic governance systems, and to also utilize our G20 presidency to ensure issues such as sustainable development issues and also issues of climate change and global trade and debt crisis are finding expression in this year's G20. We really need to work together as countries of the Global South in addressing issues of debt crisis, because countries of the Global South often chooses between the issue of servicing the debts and also the issue of servicing their respective constituencies in their jurisdiction. We are going to utilize our presidency of the G20 to call for the reforms of the multilateral funding institutions in terms of these issues of debt management. And we are going to do that, of course, supported by the AU, because it is only in this year's G20 that we have admitted the AU as a permanent member of the G20, which is a platform that will provide all of us a space to ensure an alignment in terms of issues of priority that we need to drive together as the people of the continent of Africa. South Africa will use the G20 platform to advocate for an inclusive global economic order in collaboration with AU institutions, and we therefore invite the Pan-African Parliament to work alongside us in ensuring that African voices are not only heard, but also acted upon in that multilateral forum. The Pan-African Parliament, working together with all relevant stakeholders, can play a pivotal role in shaping policies that can foster sustainable economic growth for all of us, where we need to deal with issues of reducing poverty for all of us in the continent of Africa. PAP can help drive Africa's economic transformation agenda, wherein we need to promote entrepreneurship and supporting small and medium-sized enterprises, and also promote issues of intra-Africa trade, where we need to trade amongst ourselves as the countries of one continent of Africa. Mr. President and members, the challenges before us are immense, but they are not intractable. Together, we have the power to shape the future of our continent by creating a just and an equitable and a prosperous Africa for all its people of African people. As I conclude, Mr. President, a call was made by the AU Assembly of Heads of States and government for all stakeholders to commemorate the AU's theme for this year, 2025, in a meaningful manner. I must indicate to yourself, Honorable President and members, that there are various activities that are lined up in South Africa throughout the Africa Month to appreciate and celebrate this year's AU theme. In this context, the Department of International Relations and Cooperation will be collaborating with the 6th region diplomatic missions and the AU member state missions that have been hosted here in South Africa to host the Diaspora Week later in the second half of this year. These events will go a long way in making sure that we commemorate and concentrate on the outcomes to contribute to the reparatory justice mandate through tangible actions that we need to drive, all of us. I want to take this opportunity, Honorable President and members, to wish you well throughout your parliamentary engagements during your stay here in South Africa. And I want to thank you, Hakensa. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
If you've forgotten, you can write it down. She is Honorable Thandi Moraka. Honorable Thandi Moraka, you just heard that she's thunderous. That speech, we are very motivated. That speech, she knows the issues very well and articulates them very well. And we celebrate the free visa from 1st of October. We celebrate that, right? And I think the world of Africa also want to thank Pan-African Parliament. We have been the leading force pushing for this. And through the Deputy Minister here, I think then maybe they say, look, why do it for PAP only? Let's do it for everybody. So PAP, congratulations, Pan-African Parliament. Now, we move to solidarity speeches. Our sister, brothers, so friends, partners who work with PAP. And we have a list of 6 before we go to the guest of honor. Now, solidarity, if it takes more than 5-10 minutes, it's no longer solidarity. You are becoming something else. So please make sure that your speech 5, if you exceed 10 at most, but 5 the better or less. So I will start with Excellency Mrs. Nados Bekele Thomas, the Chief Executive Officer of AUDA-NEPAD. Be prepared. It will be, the next will be the CEO of APRM.
Thank you very much, the Right Honorable President of the Pan-African Parliament, and good morning to all of you. I would like to recognize His Excellency, the Chair of the PRC, representing the Chair of the AU, the President of the Republic of Angola, Professor Miguel Cesar Domingos Bembe, I would also like to recognize the PRC members that have come all the way from Addis, the Dean of the Permanent Representatives, the Honorable Ambassador of Comoros. I would also like to recognize the Honorable Ambassador of Kenya, who is a very supportive member of the PRC. Also would like to recognize my sister, the Dean of the Africa region. I would like to say, my dear sister, you were certainly a thunder, and you are a thunder. And your speech was just remarkable. Thank you very much. The messages are well taken. Would like to thank you for this long-awaited visa-free South Africa and the recognition that South Africa is Africa and, really the pillar of growth for Africa, one of the pillars of growth for Africa. Thank you very much. And as we go on, the only thing that we would ask, myself and my sister, the Ambassador Maria Antoinette, the CEO of APRM, the next thing is our African Union House, because we're really in need of that, and also the signing of the host agreement. I would like to say good morning to all those eminent members of the Pan-African Parliament, ambassadors that are there, and all protocols observed. It's for me, this is the third or fourth time that I come to report on the work of the African Union Development Agency, but today is a solidarity, so what I would do is just really touch on the new things that we have done since the last time we had our encounter. And my colleagues would come at each and every session to really elaborate on the work of your agency, the African Union Development Agency, and also really try to find solutions to the challenges we face. And we gather here in the spirit of Pan-Africanism to reflect on our shared aspirations and to forge a stronger path towards the Africa we want. And it's not only the Africa we who are here that we want, it's the Africa that the next generation wants, our children, our grandchildren want. Just recently, at the Mid-Year Coordination Summit in Malabo, we engaged in profound discussions on the imperatives of integration, regional integration, prosperity, and development for Africa. The consensus for those who were there and for those that followed was clear: to truly advance our union, and we must move beyond rhetoric to decisive action. We acknowledge the complex global environment, and Madam Minister, you really tabled that properly, so I don't want to labor myself, which was marked by constrained financing, tightening trade tariffs, supply chain disruptions, debt distress, and geopolitical volatility, all of which reshape our development landscape. Yet, these challenges must not deter us. Instead, they must galvanize us to look inward, to leverage our collective strength, and to accelerate our progress. The Malabo discussions also underscored the critical need for enhanced coordination, alignment, and synergy across all AU institutions, regional economic communities, development partners, and most importantly, member states. The spirit of collaborative action rooted in the principles of subsidiarity and complementarity is what the Union needs to advance. For globally, the development discourse is shifting. There is a growing recognition that traditional aid models are no more working, or if there are some, they are not sufficient to address the complex, multidimensional challenges of our time. And this in a world that is increasingly interconnected, and Africa's development trajectory is inextricably linked to global stability and prosperity. We are not merely recipients of development, we are active participants and innovatives, shaping the global agenda and advocating for a more just and equitable world order. Therefore, the ongoing discussions all point to a new paradigm, one that prioritizes domestic resource mobilization, equitable access to global capital, impact-driven partnerships, and country-led development. This requires us to be, first of all, confident, strategic, and this requires us to be unified and to be resolute in our pursuit to self-reliance. Excellencies, at the heart of our collective ambition lies Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. This comprehensive framework, with its second 10-year implementation plan, is our guiding star, outlining a prosperous and peaceful Africa, driven by its own citizens and representing a dynamic force in the global arena. The African Union Development Agency, your agency, as Africa's premier development agency, is entrusted with the critical mandate of translating this vision into tangible results. Despite the prevailing headwinds, we are working tirelessly to bridge the gap, to bridge not only one gap, the gaps, and deliver on the promise of our Agenda 2063. Our efforts are multifaceted, and there are many, but I would like to cite, number one, the African Union Development Fund, to close the staggering 3.3 trillion financing gap associated with the second 10-year implementation plan. The agency, your agency, together with the African Union Commission and the Committee of 15 Ministers of Finance and all PRC members, we have designed the African Union Development Fund. This fund represents a historic shift. For the first time, Africa will have a continent-owned financing platform anchored in sovereign commitments and focused on investing in Africa's own priorities. Endorsed at the ministerial level and championed during the high-level meeting in Luanda, the African Union Development Fund is now on track for formal adoption in 2026, and we need all the support. We envision a fund that will leverage member states' contribution to unlock larger flows of concessional and blended financing, provide predictable financing for priority projects in health, infrastructure, education, agriculture, and energy, and mobilize capital from within the continent while building investor confidence from global development partners. Two is the Africa Team, regional investment for collective impact, which we call PAMOJA. Complementing the fund, we have formed the Africa Team, a coalition of the African Union, regional economic communities, and member states, tasked with developing and coordinating a continental pipeline of bankable regional projects. Today, the Africa Team has mapped and prioritized over 300 projects valued at $500 billion per year, cutting across infrastructure, agriculture, health, and energy. These projects have regional significance, offer strong returns in job creation and economic competitiveness, and are designed to attract scalable financing through public-private partnerships, development effective participation with development banks and sovereign wealth funds. And I would also say the effective utilization of the pension funds that are all sitting elsewhere and not even in Africa. By convening joint investment platforms and unifying fragmented project pipelines, the Africa team ensures alignment and coherence across actors, something we must all insist on moving forward. The third one is the AUDA, the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD country footprint presence, bringing delivery closer to citizens. As part of our institutional reform and delivery focus, the African Union Development Agency has initiated the country footprint presence model. This demand-driven approach places the agency's offices directly within member states to provide embedded technical assistance, coordinated planning, and closer follow-up on program execution. And this is as the others are closing their doors, we are opening doors, and we are going closer to our member states. You have seen USAID, now no more, and many of our UN offices might close. And therefore, it's much better to have our own agency there to support the country. Therefore, we have now strong expressions of interest from 11 countries, including Angola, Chad, Ethiopia, Morocco, Tunisia, Senegal, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. The host country agreements have been signed with Congo, Brazzaville, and Morocco, and operational offices already exist in Kenya, Nigeria, and Senegal. These offices are funded and owned by host governments, demonstrating national ownership and sustainability. And they will serve to deepen engagement, fast-track program rollout, and enhance alignment between national and continental priorities. We see this not only as a delivery tool, but also as an opportunity for parliamentary oversight, as it allows for greater local engagement and transparent tracking of the agency's work on the ground. And we will certainly work in close collaboration with our sister organization, the African Peer Review Mechanism. Honorable members, your development agency is also driving implementation across key sectors through flagship programs and direct support to member states. These results reflect our commitment to practical, country-led, and people-centered development. One is health systems and pharmaceutical autonomy. The COVID-19 has revealed the depth of Africa's health system vulnerabilities and its over-dependence on external supply chains. In response, the agency has prioritized a holistic approach to health resilience. Under the AU Health and Development Roadmap, we are scaling the 24 Priority Medical Products Initiative. These are essential products. A flagship intervention to promote pharmaceutical self-sufficiency. If only 50% of local production is realized, Africa could save $150 to $360 billion. $150 to $360 billion. And with a 10 million pledge from Tunisia and strong alignment with the African Medicine Agency, this initiative is strengthening Africa's regulatory environment and manufacturing capacity. The agency has also operationalized Africa's first AI-driven pharmacovigilance platform, now deployed in 21 countries with $14 million in catalytic investment to ensure real-time monitoring of medicine safety. These efforts are not only improving health outcomes, they are building sovereignty, independence, and preparedness for future public health emergencies. The second one which is really core to you and to everybody, the youth employment and skills development. Africa's youth population will double by 2050, and our collective prosperity depends on their inclusion in the economy. We have intensified investments in skills, entrepreneurship, and employability. Through the Skills Initiative for Africa, we have invested 100 million euros across 48 TVET projects tailored to local market demand. The Energize Africa initiative is equipping youth with critical digital and green skills supported by African Critical Skills Bank, a real-time labor intelligence tool which is really effective and has shown results. The initial focus areas include agro-processing and infrastructure. Our digital transformation programs, supported by 66 million euro, aims to unlock 230 million emerging digital job opportunities through foundational skills, entrepreneurship incubation, and connectivity access. I am pleased to report that our app, which is called Akili Africa, Akili means brain, right? Africa, which is an AI-supported training, coaching, platform, will help anyone that has access to internet anywhere in Africa. It will give training in their local languages. All African languages for all citizens. They can access entrepreneurship training, skills training through Akili AI. Please try it out. You put Akili AI, you put your names or whatever, the coaching and training will start. Additionally, we have launched the World Skills Africa Desk, fostering continental collaboration on technical and vocational excellence. And it also serves as a market platform for industrial manufacturing skills demand and learning institutions' supply of skilled labor. The third one is infrastructure and regional connectivity. Connectivity lies at the heart of Africa's integration agenda. Under the Program for Infrastructure Development in Africa, PIDA, Priority Action Plan 2, we continue to drive catalytic projects. Just between last year and this year, 21 priority infrastructure projects have been validated and packaged for financing. And this will be tabled at the recent, Luanda Financing Summit, which will be held in October, end of October. The Kenya-Uganda Angololo project, a transboundary water and irrigation project, has reached financial close with strong regional benefits in agriculture and trade. We are strengthening energy cooperation through the Egypt-Sudan Electricity Interconnector and have launched phase 3 of the Continental Power Systems Master Plan. The Continental Power System Master Plan pre-feasibility studies funded by the EU and Germany are advancing 20 energy projects, while the Nairobi roadmap sets the course for a regional investment approach. The agency also facilitated the launch of the Single African Air Transport Market Forum and is supporting the African Integrated High-Speed Rail Network, pushing forward the continental mobility. Through platforms such as the PIDA Week, which convened over 2,000 stakeholders, we continue to shape the dialogue between governments, DFIs, and private sector investments. And through our financial infrastructure financing summit, we will be able to mobilize to make sure that there is a deal in Luanda. So please join us. The fourth one is agriculture, food systems, and climate resilience. Despite being home to 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land, Africa continues to face chronic food insecurity. And I tell you, we import around $90 billion worth of food every year. The Kampala CAADP Declaration Strategy and Action Plan adopted to guide the next decade of agricultural transformation. And we need to really get familiarized to this action plan so that we can support our member states. And also really monitor the progress that our countries are making. The national support for the domestication of the Nairobi Declaration on Fertilizer and Soil Health, including a roadmap, regional technical hubs, and coalitions of technical partners are something that you would need to follow up in your respective countries. And the policy harmonization, the capacity building in partnership with REX and the UN Food Systems Hub, culminating in the African Common Position for UNFSS +4, have become a reality as a result of our support to the collaboration with the African Union Commission. In environmental sustainability, we are leading implementation of the AFR 100 Forest Landscape Restoration Initiative, supporting data collection in 30 countries, and scaling best practices for reforestation and carbon finance. Number 5 is peace, security, and development, our flagship program, the Triple Nexus. Told you last time, Africa should not wallow in crisis. We have our long-term development trajectory, and we cannot be derailed because of crisis. Crisis is an event. We will surmount that together, and we move forward towards growth and prosperity. And therefore, we are operationalizing together with our AUC partners and others in terms of making sure that we have preventive programs, peace-building programs, and also post-crisis programs, but making sure that countries are in the right trajectory of development. And therefore, in this context, we led with APRM and the AUC, the Peace and Security Council, a mission to Gabon, and we supported the Gabon's peaceful political transition. Because it's all interlinked, development and all this peace is interlinked. So we need to work together. We launched the AU Journal on Peace Building, offering a platform for analysis, policy dialogue, and community-based information. We are finalizing the Triple Nexus implementation framework for each country, specific countries, scaling technical support and mapping country-level peace and development actors, and building the peace infrastructure in all African countries. This work bridges gaps between humanitarian responses, state building, and long-term development, and ensures inclusive governance frameworks for youth, women, and local communities. And we're using AI to really measure the pulses of people so that the executive body, the legislative body takes proactive action. And that is something that we're working with the Commonwealth Secretariat. Number 6 is digital infrastructure and cybersecurity. As the digital economy accelerates, the African Union Development Agency is supporting member states to develop secure and inclusive ecosystems. These digital interventions empower governments to foster innovation while safeguarding infrastructure and citizens' rights. Honorable members, this brings me to the core conclusion of my message to you today. As the Pan-African Parliament, and indeed as national parliaments across our continent, your role in the successful implementation of Agenda 2063 is not only important, but it is indispensable. Planning is not enough. We need to budget for essential social services, and we count on you. You're the direct link to the aspirations of our people, the custodians of our laws, and the watchdogs of our collective progress. Therefore, my message to this Parliament is a direct call to action. Champion the domestication of Agenda 2063. Strengthen parliamentary oversight. We urge you to strengthen your oversight mechanisms to ensure that national governments are effectively implementing Agenda 2063. This includes rigorous scrutiny of national budgets to ensure adequate allocation and transparent utilization of resources for our shared goals. And establish or empower parliamentary committees to specifically monitor progress on Agenda 2063, ensuring they have the necessary resources, technical expertise, and mandates to conduct in-depth inquiries and demand accountability. We will walk this journey along your side. The third one is facilitate public participation and accountability. Engage your constituents deeply in the Agenda 2063 journey. Organize public forums, consultations, and use modern technologies to solicit their input and feedback. Ensure that the voices of all, especially women, youth, and marginalized communities, are heard and reflected in policymaking implementation. And most importantly, promote transparency and accountability in all development initiatives. The fourth one is advocate for resource mobilization. Use your influence to advocate for increased domestic resource mobilization and for equitable access to international financing for Agenda 2063 projects. Support efforts to curb illicit financial flows, which takes out $90 billion a year, and corruption that continues to drain our continent's potential, and champion reforms in the global financial architecture that benefit Africa. And I would like to make an appeal. Please advocate for voluntary contributions for your own premier development agency, the African Union Development Agency, as the AU budget for development for this agency with monumental tasks and responsibilities is only $6 million a year. We mobilize, almost 90% of our resources from elsewhere, and this is not tenable. This is not acceptable for a continent that wants to be self-reliant. And the fifth is foster interparliamentary collaboration. Honorable members, the journey to the Africa we want, to our dream, to realize our dream, is a shared one. It requires unwavering commitment, concerted effort, and a deep sense of ownership from all stakeholders. The Pan-African Parliament, as the legislative arm of our union, holds a unique and powerful position to drive this agenda forward. The agency, your agency, the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, as your technical partner and servant of Africa's transformation, stands ready to walk beside you every step of the way, providing data, analysis, and implementation support, convening stakeholders, and ensuring that our joint ambitions yield tangible benefits in every village, town, city, and across our continent. Thank you very much.
Yeah, another round of applause for our CEO. Thank you very much, CEO. of course, you took, I don't know whether it's 40 minutes, I don't know. But we kept listening. We kept listening. We were never bored because you were transforming Africa and bringing food on the table for Africans. So thank you very much. And also a bit of bias towards you because you are CEO and a lady. So a bit of favor because you're a woman. If it was a man, I would have long said, please, time up. Next to take the floor is another woman of this continent, Ambassador Mary Antoinette Rose. And around this Quetri, I may mispronounce. CEO of the African Peer Review Mechanism, you are welcome.
Your Excellency Chief Fortune Charumbira, President of the Pan-African Parliament and members of the Bureau of PAP, Your Excellency Honorable Tandi Maraka, my dear sister, Deputy Minister of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of South Africa and our gracious host, Your Excellency Ambassador Miguel Cesar Domingos Pembe, who is the chairperson of the Permanent Representatives Committee of the African Union, and our guest of honor, Dean of the Diplomatic Corps of the AUC and members of the PRC, Your Excellency Ambassador Nza Payeke, my dear brother, Dean of the African Ambassadors in South Africa. I also recognize the Honorable Speaker of the Sahrawi National Council, President of le Parlement, Assemblée parlementaire de la Francophonie, bonjour, the Secretary General of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, honorable members of the Pan-African Parliament, my dear good sister, Dr. Nados Bikele Thomas, CEO of AUDA-NEPAD, heads of AU organs, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, clerk of the Pan-African Parliament. As a former member of Parliament, it is both a privilege and a great honor that I have been afforded the opportunity to address this esteemed fifth session of the sixth Pan-African Parliament, and I kindly wish to extend sincere gratitude and deep appreciation to the leadership of PAP for this opportunity. Excellencies, the convening authority of the Pan-African Parliament to us all is indeed premised on the fact and reality that PAP is the voice of African peoples and custodian of democratic values. It has been established conscious of the imperative and urgent need to further consolidate the aspirations of the African peoples for greater unity, solidarity, and cohesion in a larger community transcending cultural, ideological, ethnic, religious, and national differences. Your Excellencies, Africa stands at a crossroads. Last week, during the joint consultative meeting between the AU Peace and Security Council and the PAP, I listened attentively to the presentation of Ambassador Bankole Adioli, AU Commissioner for Political Affairs and Peace and Security, on the topic contextualizing the state of governance, peace and security in Africa. Ambassador Bankole highlighted that amongst the emerging and pervasive threats to peace, security, and stability on the continent are exponential growth of terrorism, violent extremism and transnational organized crime, unprecedented interstate tensions and disputes, renewed Cold War-like geopolitical and ideological competition, governance deficit, climate insecurity, new technologies and cybersecurity, and last but not least, youth restiveness resulting from political exclusion and structural unemployment. The APRM country review reports, which are in-depth assessments of governance in our member states, reveal persistent weaknesses in public sector management, institutional capacity, and citizens' trust in state institutions, all of which impede sustainable development and regional stability. The Africa Governance Report on UCGs of 2023 and the Africa Governance Report on Natural Resources Governance of 2025, both prepared by the APRM in close collaboration with the AGA platform members and adopted by the AU heads of states, have revealed and exactly what Ambassador Bankole highlighted last week. The burning question facing all of us is, what is to be done? There is no doubt that this concerning trajectory has profound implications for our continental objectives, not least Agenda 2063's vision of an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa. It is thus imperative that we must act decisively and collaboratively to reverse these trends, bolster democratic institutions, and promote good governance as a prerequisite for inclusive economic growth and the upliftment of African livelihoods. Your Excellencies, youth empowerment and youth unemployment is a matter of life and death. As Ambassador Bankole said last week, we have to give a special attention to our youth. If not, it is a time bomb. Lack of jobs and opportunities for youth can lead to social unrest, as shown by the civil uprisings and protests on the continent and elsewhere. As the APRM, we shall be submitting to the AGA platform, of which PAP is an important member, a proposal for the Africa Governance Report 2027 to focus on youth in governance from promise to prosperity. The theme recognizes Africa's youth as a cornerstone of sustainable development, democratic governance, and economic prosperity. We therefore call on PAP and other AGA platform members to support the APRM proposal for the next AGR to focus on youth in governance. Your Excellencies, democracy and good governance cannot be achieved by the executive arm of government alone. It requires the full participation of all stakeholders, particularly legislative bodies which serve as custodians of democratic norms as a voice of the people. Parliaments, both at the national and continental levels, play a pivotal role in overseeing government action, scrutinizing public policy, and ensuring accountability for the delivery of national development priorities. Political parties are also important stakeholders, often forgotten in the promotion of democracy and good governance. Political parties are entities established in our member states to contest for state power democratically and legitimately. It is for this reason that the APRM will work closely with the Pan-African Parliament, the African Union Commission, and other relevant AU institutions to convince a Pan-African intra-political party dialogue on democracy and good governance in Africa. We are going to initiate the regional segment of the dialogue with the Southern African region towards the end of the year. Your Excellencies, during the opening ceremony of the 4th ordinary session of the AU Executive Council 11 days ago in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, Ambassador Claver Gatete, the UN Under-Secretary General and Executive Secretary of ECA said, and I quote, "We meet at a time when the world is facing a convergence of crises from climate instability, escalating geopolitical tensions, constrained development finance, high indebtedness to mounting economic uncertainty. These global headwinds have only amplified long-standing structural challenges across Africa. It is unacceptable that after 60 years of independence, we have only 2 investment-grade rated countries on the continent. That is why the ECA continues to advocate for the establishment of the African Credit Rating Agency, one that reflects our economic fundamentals, not external biases. Excellencies, the African Credit Rating Agency, a flagship project of the APRM, will be a private sector-owned, driven, and self-sustainable entity. The decision to establish the AFCRA emanates from concerns over the impact of poor ratings in African countries by the 3 leading ICRAs, namely Standard & Poor's, Moody's, and Fitch, which are domiciled outside the African continent. Excellencies, this cannot continue. We can no longer accept being unfairly rated by entities that have limited knowledge on what is going on in our own continent. Credit ratings are a vital tool for investors, assessing a borrower's capacity and commitment to repay debt. Over the past decades, many African countries have increasingly accessed international capital markets to fund infrastructure and budgetary requirements. It is our solemn conviction that AFCRA represents more than a credit rating agency. It is a symbol of Africa's economic sovereignty, a vehicle for financial empowerment, a catalyst for effective resource mobilization, integration, and long-term growth. This is why we call on PAP, as a voice of the people, to advocate for fair and credible credit ratings for AU member states, acceleration of efforts towards the establishment of the African Credit Rating Agency as directed by the AU policy organs. Clear, transparent, and strategic communication and credit ratings play a crucial role in allowing for public participation and the articulation of views on progress regarding a country's economic reform agenda. Your Excellencies, as I conclude, at the APRM, we stand shoulder to shoulder with PAP in all its efforts towards the full realization of its objectives as articulated in Article 3 of the PAP Protocol. I'm not saying this out of convenience or expediency, but out of a deep conviction to always transcend words into concrete action with impact and tangible results. At this important 5th session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament, the APRM and the PAP will formalize a strategic collaboration through the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding. This landmark agreement is a testament of our shared commitment to accelerate the speedily realization of Aspiration 3 of AU Agenda 2063, an Africa of good governance, democracy, respect for human rights, justice, and the rule of law, and Aspiration 4, a peaceful and secure Africa. The great Nelson Mandela has taught us that vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes the time. Vision with action can change the world. We solemnly believe that the shared vision between the APRM and PAP with concrete action by both institutions will ensure the speedy realization of Agenda 2063 aspirations, and most importantly, the second 10-year implementation plan. It is crystal clear. It is a crystal clear manifestation of the entrenchment of the solidarity between the APRM and PAP. Excellencies, let us work together to cement democratic governance, fortify our institutions, and build an Africa where leadership is accountable, resources are equitably managed, rights are protected, and economic prosperity and opportunities abound for all people. I thank you, Shukran, Abonga, Merci, Asante Sana.
Another round of applause. I now invite Honorable Bernard Ahiafo, Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly of Ghana.
Thank you very much, His Excellency Chief Fortune Sharum Bira, the President of the Pan-African Parliament. Permit me to stand on the existing protocol to give this short solidarity message. Mr. President, permit me to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to the President of the Pan-African Parliament for the kind invitation to join you and deliver this message of solidarity on the occasion of the 5th honorary section of the Pan-African Parliament for the year 2025. I bring you warm fraternal greetings from the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the Speaker of Parliament of Ghana, Right Honorable Alban Sumana Kingsford Gbagbi, honorable members of Parliament, and the people of Ghana. On their behalf, I extend heartfelt greetings and reaffirm the Parliaments of Ghana's enduring solidarity with the Pan-African Parliament. The Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Alban Sumana Kingsford Gbagbi, had every intention of being with you at this important occasion. However, due to an equally important urgent national assignment, he is unable to be here in person. He has therefore asked me to represent him and to deliver this message on his behalf. I am therefore here in a representative capacity. It is a profound honor to stand with you as we gather around the African Union's 2025 theme of the year, Justice for Africans and People of Africa, African Descent, through reparations. This year's African Dialogue Series is not just an event. It is a platform for meaningful reflection, honest dialogue, and decisive action. We are here because the pursuit of justice remains unfinished, and the responsibility to repair and restore continues to echo with urgency and purpose. Mr. President, reparatory justice is not a new demand, and it is certainly not theoretical. It comes from generations who resisted exploitations, who called for truth, and who stood firm in the face of dehumanization. Today's theme is a reminder that acknowledgement without action is not enough. Justice cannot stop at apology. It must translate into tangible redress. Reparatory justice is not an act of charity, it is a right, as many have affirmed, and it is essential for moral balance and for long-term development. The African Union has shown real leadership in putting reparatory at the heart of the global conversation. From the Durban Declaration in 2001 to the AU Assembly's decision on reparations, and more recently, the Accra Declaration in 2022. The message is clear. Africa will not stay silent on this issue. This decision represents not just formal positions, but the will of a continent that refuses to let history's wounds go unhealed. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today's dialogue reaches beyond the past. It speaks to the present realities and the continued impact of systems born out of historical injustice. The legacy of colonialism, the transatlantic slave trade, apartheid, and structural racism is still visible. We see it in an equal educational system, in the underrepresentation of African countries in global institutions, and in the financial structures that fail to meet the needs of African economies and communities. True justice will only be possible when we commit to addressing both the roots and the branches of these issues. When we speak of peaceful and inclusive societies, as envisioned in Sustainable Development Goal 16, we cannot avoid the deeper question of fairness. Reparatory justice offers us a powerful framework for addressing inequality at its core. It offers a path to transformation, not just surface-level solutions and challenges us to confront hard truths with honesty and courage. Whether through policy reform, public education, or economic redress, we must be willing to make the changes that justice demands. Momentum is building. In November 2023, Ghana, in collaboration with the African Union Commission, hosted the African Reparatory Conference, which was a powerful moment of unity. The event brought together leaders from Africa and the Caribbean, representatives of the United Nations, civil society, academics, and diaspora communities. It serves as a reminder that while our geographies may differ, our history, struggles, and aspirations are deeply connected. Ghana's continued leadership is commendable. So too is the African Union commitment to practical partnerships. In July 2024, the AU signed a memorandum of understanding with the African Transitional Justice Legacy Fund. This was an important step in building long-term collaboration on issues like human rights, good governance, justice, and healing. These are not just bureaucratic concerns. They are essential foundation for lasting peace and genuine progress. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are also witnessing encouraging development on the global stage. The United Nations Secretary General has underscored the importance of reparatory justice, especially for people of African descent. He has called for more equitable representation in international institutions and a global financial systems that better serves African nations. His latest report to the General Assembly recommends a comprehensive approach, one that is participatory, inclusive, and sensitive to gender and context. These are the kinds of ideas that move us forward. Similarly, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights has offered valuable guidance through the Agenda for Transformative Change. That work emphasizes the need to dismantle systematic racism and build accountability into our institutions. This message is consistent across all levels. Reparatory justice must be rooted in human rights and must aim at restoring both dignity and opportunities. As we reach the end of the first international decade for people of African descent and prepare to enter the second, we stand at the crossroads. This is a moment to gather the wisdom, experience, and energy of the past 10 years and carry it into a more determined decade ahead. That means building stronger legal framework for reparations. It means teaching the next generation the truth about our systems that recognize and uphold the value of African lives, culture, and leadership. Today, I offer myself full solidarity to the African Union, Pan-African Parliament, to the people of Africa, and to all people of African descent, wherever they are. I stand alongside the activists, the thinkers, the community leaders, and the everyday citizens who have kept this conversation alive and who continue to push it forward. Your voice matters, your vision matters, and your efforts are shaping a more just world. Let us not forget that reparations are about more than the past. They are about the future we want to create, a future where our children can grow up in societies that are just, fair, and free from discrimination, a future where historical truth is taught, not hidden, where dignity is protected, not denied. I urge the international community, governments, parliaments, institutions, the private sector, the media, and individuals to engage with this agenda in good faith. This is not a burden that Africa must carry alone. This is a global challenge that demands global responsibility. Justice delayed must not be justice denied. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, inclusion. Let this African Dialogue Series be more than just a conversation. Let it be a turning point. Let it ignite real action, forge strong partnerships, and inspire courageous leadership. We are not starting from scratch. We are building on decades of advocacy, legal progress, and moral charity. Together, we can transform reparatory justice from a distant hope into a live and lasting reality. Thank you all for the opportunity.
The minister is excused. She has to rush for another critical engagement. I mean, Minister from DECO, Moraka, Minister Moraka. You are excused. Thank you. Another round of applause for the Deputy Speaker. Now, on the program, it says the next two presentations would be by Morocco and then Sahrawi. The one from Morocco is by Right Honorable Mohammed Rachid, President of the House of Councillors of the Kingdom of Morocco, who is not present. The next then will be Honorable Hamad Salama, Speaker of the Sahrawi National Council. Please just have the trust that is now Sahrawi.
In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the prayers are upon the best of the all prophets. Honorable His Excellency Chief Fortune Chawambira, and the Honorable Ambassador Miguel Salazar Domingos, the Ambassador of Angola to Ethiopia and Chair of the PRC, the Honorable Tindi Moraka, the Deputy of the Chair of the DIRCO in the brother country South Africa, Honorable Mwando Fagour, the head of the chair or the speaker of the Ghanaian Parliament, Honorable Sylvia Lucas, the deputy speaker of the SADC PF, the Honorable Hilarion Etinol, the chair of the Francophone Assembly, Their Excellencies, the ambassadors accredited to South Africa, the honorable chairs of the regional regions with all the protocol reserved, the honorable members of the Pan-African Parliament. At the outset, I would like to extend a warm greeting to His Excellency Chief Fortune Chawambira, President of the Pan-African Parliament, for the kind invitation to attend the plenary session of this august body. I would also like to take this opportunity to express, on behalf of the Sahrawi Republic and the Sahrawi National Council, our deep appreciation and respect for the President of the Pan-African Parliament. We highly appreciate his relentless defense of the founding principles of the African Union and his commitment to the promotion of the rights and the interests of the African people. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, we are meeting today at a critical international and continental juncture marked by the growing tendency towards unilateralism and shift away from the framework of international law and multilateralism upon which the current international order is based. This situation presents enormous challenges for us as states and as a union that requires all the from us all the strengthen solidarity and unity among our people and states to defend our common interests and destiny. There is no doubt that promoting human rights and consolidating democratic institutions and culture, good governance, transparency, and the rule of law remains among the most important objectives of our Pan-African Parliament as it moves towards achieving its ultimate goal of becoming an institution with full legislative powers. In addition to its role in raising awareness among the peoples of Africa of the African Union objectives and policies aimed at promoting peace, security, stability, and integration of on our continent, our Pan-African Parliament, which represents the voice of African people, remains a strong bulwark for defending the legitimate aspirations of the people of our continent and the founding principles upon which our African Union is based. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, at a time when Africa has been liberated from old colonialism, parts of the Sahrawi Republic are still under illegal occupation in flagrant violation of the objectives and principles of the Constitutive Act of the African Union, including respect for borders existing on achievement of independence and respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of member states. As many African leaders have stressed on more than one occasion, Africa will not be fully liberated from colonialism until the liberation of all the territory of the Sahrawi Republic. Which represents a factor of equilibrium and stability in our region. You are therefore called upon all to join forces to continue to support the legitimate struggle of the Sahrawi people, which is the struggle of all justice and peace-loving African people who have also suffered from the scourge of colonialism, foreign occupation, and apartheid. On this occasion, we express our deep gratitude for the principled positions expressed by many democratic forces within our Pan-African Parliament in support of the just cause of the Sahrawi people in line with the objectives and the principles of the Constitutive Act of the African Union and the defense of values of freedom, justice, democracy, and the human and people's rights. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, this session is a special opportunity to express our deep appreciation for the tireless efforts carried out by our Pan-African Parliament to promote continental unity and integration, as well as significant contribution to joint African decision-making. We also highly value your dedication to serving the African peoples and your commitment to strengthening unity and solidarity among the peoples and countries of our Union. The challenges posed by the current global and continental situation make it imperative for all of us to deepen and diversify our engagements with all the components of our societies and their civil, political, and economic organizations in the context of a comprehensive and renewed dialogue to strengthen the unity of our people and empower them to participate in promoting the values of freedom, justice, democracy, equality, and respect for human and people's rights. Upholding these values is essential as we continue our march towards realizing our common ambitions of integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa, driven by its citizens to representing a dynamic force in the global arena. Once again, I express my sincere thanks and appreciation for the kind invitation, and I wish you and your session every success. As well, we would apologize, we missed some of what was said, but he's talking about presenting a gift to the president from His Excellency, the President of the Sahrawi Republic, His Excellency Ibrahim Ghali.
Okay.
Another round of applause for the. You know why he deserves a very loud applause? Honorable Speaker, put the. Yeah, I want you to listen to. Yeah, good to hear. You know why we are a lot of applause to him? He did well. He did not take the opportunity of this platform to try and attack Morocco. No, that this was fair. He didn't abuse the platform for other conflicts. So I want to please can you clap for him? Yes. He spoke with wisdom and maturity. A lot of wisdom and maturity. Most people expected fireworks, but we didn't see any fireworks. Thank you very much. I now call upon, just before the guest of honor, we have Excellency Hilarion Etong, President of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Francophonie, APF. You are welcome.
Monsieur le Président du Parlement panafricain,
the President of the Pan-African Parliament, distinguished guests here present, all protocols observed, dear colleagues, honorable parliamentarians, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is with a lot of pleasure that I'm taking the floor here this morning in this hall that symbolizes the vision of peace and security of our founding fathers. And also in the country of Nelson Mandela. But before everything else, allow me first of all to thank on my behalf and on behalf of the members of the delegation accompanying me here. We have Mrs. Amela Clamp-Makassi, a delegate from the Francophonie Parliament, and Mrs. Miriam Moro, advisor to the clerk. Allow me to extend greetings to Chief Fortune Charumbira. First of all, for inviting us to this session, a session that actually symbolizes excellent relationship between our country and this parliament. And thank him for opening the doors to this hall to me and allowing me to take the floor before the continental representatives here at this occasion. I'd like to thank Chief Fortune Charumbira for the warm welcome extended to me and also for all the other courtesies extended to us ever since we arrived here in South Africa. To all the distinguished personalities represented here, all those I can see from here, to all the members of the diplomatic corps and representatives of international organizations, I want to say good afternoon. And to the President of the Republic of South Africa, very respectfully, I want to reassure him of my friendship and also that of the Francophonie Parliamentary Assembly. I'd like to say to our parliamentary institutions, first of all, as the first Vice President of the Assembly of Cameroon, member of the delegation of Cameroon to the Interparliamentary Union, and as Vice President of the Committee of Human Rights of this institution, as member of the parliamentary delegation of the Parliament of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, and also having been the president of a parliamentary body of CEMAC in 2019. To this end, I would like that our presence here, dear colleagues, and in this land that is so full of history, we want to associate ourselves to everything that has to do with building the African continent despite all the challenges. As you all know, my dear colleagues, our continent is facing a lot of challenges: poverty, social inequalities, difficulty to schools, climate change, political instability, and you name it. So many challenges which actually slow down the progress of our continent through to inclusive development. It is clear that these challenges actually slow down our economic development and even weaken our prosperity in Africa. But I want to remain optimistic, and that is the reason why I would like to say that our continent also offers other opportunities. Yes, our continent is rich. It has a rich history. It has a rich culture, and even its people are a world on its own. Our continent has women and men who actually make the continent proud. The continent has a rich youth, the youth who are trained, committed, and ambitious. Our continent is rich of you as parliamentarians who are gathered here today, despite all the language differences and the political diversities. We sit here to legislate, but mostly to reflect and also to determine the future of Africa. So I must say this, the Pan-African Parliament is not just an organ of the African Union. It is the symbol of the unity of parliamentarians of Africa who are here to serve the African people. And that is why I'm really pleased that His Excellency, President Charumbira, extended this invitation to the Francophonie Parliamentary Assembly. And I am here representing the Parliamentary Assembly of Francophonie. We are here to talk about the fact that we do share a common language, French. It is a political space for discussions, for proposals, for training, and also the training of parliamentarians for them to be more competent on every topic whatsoever. Its objective is to contribute towards building or promoting democracy, the French language, the rule of law, and the rights of the people, particularly in the French community, and also to promote cooperation and strengthen solidarity among Francophones, especially towards sustainable development, contribute towards the development of the various countries and also the civilization of the people who have a common language that is French, without necessarily being of French culture, to support their educational systems and also promote education in French-speaking countries. As you can see, even though we live in different geographical situations, APF has a common ground. The countries of the Francophonie have a common agenda. APF has among its members 28 African sections, and I want to welcome the representatives here. As an observer, we have the Pan-African Parliament, the CEMAC Parliament, the ECOWAS Parliament, and UEMOA. And these African sections who are members of the APF actually represent the heartbeat of our assembly, and they contribute towards the development of APF. And APF and the Pan-African Parliament all have one vision, that is to provide the African people what they need. They work together. They work together as partners. And the Pan-African Parliament, thanks to its language diversity, uses French as one of its working languages, and we can only encourage this. And lastly, APF and PAP serve as a platform for political dialogue and also for interparliamentary discussions, and it also encourages parliamentary diplomacy. Talking about parliamentary diplomacy, we had a meeting in Paris recently, and this was actually a platform for us to strengthen our support towards what is going on between Congo and Rwanda. And we also have a resolution that was adopted unanimously following a mission that was led by the APF in DR Congo and in Rwanda in May 2025. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is clear that we have the right, it is our right to strengthen our efforts, to pool our efforts together in order to strengthen African integration and also to consolidate parliamentary diplomacy and to promote the development of our people. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude my statement, I would like to say that taking the floor here today actually is for me to share with you my gratitude. I do hope that this session is going to be marked by constructive dialogue and concrete proposals. May this session make it possible for you to fly the flag of African unity even higher. Long live Africa, long live the Pan-African Parliament, long live interparliamentary cooperation. Thank you.
Well,
Another round of applause. Apologies. We should have had a presentation before the President of the Parliamentary Assembly of Francophonie from Honorable Lucia Lucas, Vice President of the SADC Parliamentary Forum. You can take the floor.
Of the Pan-African Parliament. Sure. This is the problem with His Excellency Chief Fortune Charumbira. If you allow me to stand on the protocol that was already established, I will just acknowledge the distinguished honorable guest here. And it is with a deep honor and a profound sense of Pan-African solidarity that I bring you warm greetings from the SADC Parliamentary Forum and its 15-member parliaments. I also bring the best wishes of our President, the Honorable Justin Tokely, the Speaker of the National Assembly of Madagascar. Mr. President, allow me to thank you for the kind invitation to attend this 5th plenary session of the 6th Parliament of the Pan-African Parliament and to deliver this solidarity message on behalf of the SADC Parliamentary Forum. Further, allow me to congratulate the Pan-African Parliament for convening this important session under the visionary theme, and I quote, "Justice for Africans and people of African descent through reparations," close quote. This theme is timely and essential. It calls upon all of us as Africans within the continent and in the diaspora to stand firm in reclaiming justice, dignity, and historical redress. The SADC Parliamentary Forum fully associates itself with this powerful vision. We commend the Pan-African Parliament under your exemplary leadership, Mr. President, for commonly placing people-centered justice, inclusive development, and regional unity at the core of its deliberations. From your advocacy on the rights of women and youth to promoting accountability and climate justice, the Pan-African Parliament has remained a torchbearer of continental legislative activism. Your presence and active participation at the 57th Plenary Assembly session of the SADC Parliamentary Forum at Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe earlier this year was a clear demonstration of your commitment to Pan-African cooperation. We recall with appreciation how you eloquently urge African parliaments to embrace digital transformation and artificial intelligence to enhance legislative responsiveness and regional development. We echo your sentiments and we reaffirm our shared commitment to building agile and future-ready parliaments. The SADC Parliamentary Forum and the Pan-African Parliament are natural allies, united by a shared mandate to promote democracy, good governance, regional integration, and socio-economic transformation. In this regard, we see significant scope for deepened collaboration across several fronts. As regional economic communities, we have a pivotal role in leading efforts that advance justice, particularly gender-responsive reparations, and in strengthening regional coordination to realize the AU's vision by 2025. Allow me thus to outline some of the concrete policy actions that we can collectively undertake to reinforce our efforts. Let us join hands as parliamentary leadership in harmonizing policies across member states to embed reparations and gender-sensitive approaches in national development plans, ensuring consistency and accountability. Furthermore, let us establish regional technical working groups comprising policymakers, civil society, as well as experts to facilitate knowledge sharing, coordinate initiatives, and monitor progress on reparative justice and gender inclusion. These groups can serve as platforms for exchanging best practices and designing joint regional strategies. Let us also strengthen data collection and research efforts at the regional level to better understand the scope of past injustices, gender disparities, and the impact of reparations programs. Accurate data will enable evidence-based policymaking and targeted interventions. Let us promote regional dialogue and awareness campaigns to foster understanding and consensus on the importance of justice and gender equality, engaging communities as well as traditional authorities to build broad-based support. Work collaboratively to mobilize and coordinate resource allocation. This could involve establishing regional financial pools, possibly supported by development partners, to fund reparation initiatives, especially those focused on empowering women and marginalized groups. We must never forget that the new face of poverty is young, Black, African, and mostly women. Sixthly, Where am I now? Let us mainstream gender and reparative justice considerations into regional development projects, trade policies, and peace-building efforts. This ensures that gender justice is an integral part of our broader developmental agenda. Let us enhance partnerships and synergies between regional institutions and the African Union, international donors, and development agencies to leverage technical assistance, funding, and expertise. By undertaking these concrete actions, our regional bodies can exemplify leadership, promote regional cohesion, and ensure that reparative justice and gender equality are effectively advanced across Africa, aligning with the 2025 objectives of the African Union. Mr. President, I'm further pleased to provide an update on the ongoing efforts to transform the SADC Parliamentary Forum into a fully fledged SADC regional parliament. This historic process is progressing steadily. So far, 13 of the 15 SADC members states have already signed the agreement to amend the SADC protocol, establishing the SADC Parliamentary Forum. We are optimistic that very soon the remaining two will sign, and we are grateful for the unwavering support that the Pan-African Parliament, under your leadership, has rendered towards this noble cause. We count on your continued solidarity as we seek to institutionalize a binding parliamentary voice for the people of the southern region. We must, however, confront the sobering reality of dwindling donor support, which threatens the sustainability of many of our programs. This is not merely a financial concern, it is a concern for democracy. As African parliamentary institutions, we need to explore new models of cooperation, resource mobilization, and partnership. Let us consider co-developing toolkits, joint missions, and knowledge sharing, platforms to support our member states amidst these constraints. Honorable members, history beckons. Our people deserve a future that is free, fair, just, and united. We must rise to this moment with courage and conviction. Let PAP and SADC-PF lead the charge in partnership. Let us continue to convene joint committees. Let us align our oversight on climate justice, youth, and trade. And let us speak with one African parliamentary voice. As we are opening this parliamentary session today, may the theme of justice and reparations not be a slogan, but a call to a redemptive action. May our deliberations translate into policies that will heal, empower, and unite our nations. I thank you. Kia liboga. Merci. Shukran. Thank you very much. Baie dankie.
Now, just before I move to call upon the guest of honor to present something, we need a bit of awakening and motivation, and to motivate him also, and to wake him up also, to rise to the occasion. So we need some food. And that's it, yeah. Thank you, thank you. The PAP Bureau, Our Excellencies, honorable members, our speakers, all invited in this room, having delivered their speeches, and those that are here to support the day, it's now my responsibility to bring this program to the climax, the topmost speaker to come and deliver the speech, the guest of honor. Let me say a bit about that. We invited Angola. The current president of the African Union is the president of Angola. And as a result, we say he should be here, and the chair of the Foreign Ministers Executive Council would be here, and the chair of the ambassadors in Addis, also the chair of PRC would be here. The president of Angola, who is chair of the African Union, traveled. He's not in Rwanda, he's other parts of the world in his capacity as president of the AU. And he promised he will address us either during committees in September or in November. And I should not forget to say, in fact, the dates for September have already been agreed by the Bureau, which is 22 September to 27 September is committee session. And then the plenary end of year will be 27 October to around 7 November. We will notify your parliaments as we go. So the president of Angola said he may join us, and Côte d'Ivoire will then be paying attention to the president as he speaks. So the president of Angola will address us sometime during the day will come and address PAP. We are honored that Angola is still present in this room. I'm aware that the guest of honor will say, I'm not here to represent the president, because the president is coming later in the year, so he cannot preempt his speech. But we are honored that he is from Angola. Whether he speaks as guest of honor or not, or PRC chair, he is from Angola. He's from Angola. And that is the direction we are taking for invitation. So we are proud this afternoon that our guest of honor is a professor. A professor. I'm aware that he lectured in Kenya. I can't remember the name of the university, but he lectured in Kenya. He's lectured in many parts of the world, of course, including Angola and Portugal for many years. So I wouldn't want to say in this year he did this, he did this. For a professor, if I do that, I'll take 2 hours. So it's better just say he's a professor. Professor Ambassador Miguel Cesar Domingos Bembe, Ambassador of Angola in Ethiopia, and chairperson of the African Union's Permanent Representative Council Committee, the PRC. He is here to deliver the keynote address. And you know the PRC is our vehicle into addressing issues of PAP. Professor, please take the podium. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for giving me a floor. As I'm going to deliver my remarks in Portuguese, I want to make sure that you are using your listening device so we can remain together.
His Excellency Chief Fortune Charumbira, President of the Pan-African Parliament, Vice President of the Pan-African Parliament, honorable parliamentarians, esteemed representatives of the member states. I would also like to take the opportunity to recognize the presence of the Deacon of the Ambassadors in Addis, as well as the Deacon for the Southern African region, and the President of the COREP subcommittee responsible for the budgeting processes of the African Union. Mr. President, it is with great honor that we address this August Assembly as chairperson of the Committee of Permanent Representatives of the Member States of the African Union, the PRC-AU, on the occasion of the solemn opening of the 5th Ordinary Session of the 6th Legislature of the Pan-African Parliament, a symbolic moment of great significance for our continent, we believe. We would therefore like to thank the Honourable President for his parliamentary house, Chief Fortune Charumbira, for inviting us to take part in this event in a space that symbolizes hope and the collective will for a fairer, more united and more sovereign continent. But before continuing with my intervention, I would like to recognize the presence in this room of Ambassador Manuel Augusto, who is leading the Angolan delegation to this country. And it is an honor to be speaking with him here because he was our head in the Ministry of International Affairs. So because he was that minister at the time, and because at that time he also allowed me to head the planning and statistics department of that important institution of the Angolan state. Excellencies, the Pan-African Parliament represents one of the most remarkable achievements of the African Union's institutionalization process, and it is a noble expression of the ideal of African unity. It was created to ensure the active participation of African peoples in the construction of their common destiny. The Pan-African Parliament reflects, therefore, not only the voice of governments, but above all, the aspirations of the citizens of our continent and the diaspora. Although it still has a predominantly consultative mandate, the Pan-African Parliament has established itself as a vital space for political dialogue, the production of legislative knowledge, and mobilization around the continent's major issues. The relevance of the Pan-African Parliament goes beyond its institutional role. It lies in its ability to give voice, to echo the silences of history, and to express the aspirations of a continent that yearns for great justice, democracy, and plural representation. Excellencies, the fifth ordinary session of the sixth legislature is taking place at a particularly symbolic moment when the African Union is dedicating the 2025 year to the theme Justice for Africans and People of African Descent through Reparations. This theme, more than a call to memory, is an urgent plea according to us for action, historical truth, dignity, and justice. We are challenged to transform our speeches into concrete and courageous commitments, clearly confronting the legacies of slavery, colonialism, structural racism, and historical injustices. It is time to reaffirm our commitment, Excellencies, commitment to a future built on memory, dignity, reparation, and reconciliation. This theme also imposes a moral and political imperative on us. Reparations must not only be seen from a financial perspective, but as a broad set of symbolic, institutional, legal, cultural, and political measures aimed at restoring the dignity and opportunities historically denied to our peoples. In this context, the Pan-African Parliament, as the third organ of the African Union, has a key role to play, namely to establish itself as an inclusive forum, a space for discussion and participation where the voices and perspectives of all Africans, including those from the diaspora, are heard and valued without discrimination or exclusion. Secondly, to promote institutional and popular debate on the subject of reparations and other situations of concern to African citizens. Thirdly, draw up concrete and guiding proposals to be submitted to the highest authorities on the African continent, as well as strengthen ties with the African diaspora and racial justice movements around the world, and finally, to monitor the fulfillment of commitments made at continental level. Excellencies, the five pillars listed above show that despite its noble mission and the progress it has already made, the Pan-African Parliament continues to face multidimensional challenges that limit its actions. Amongst the most permanent obstacles that require a collective and swift response are, number one, the scarcity of sustainable financial resources and excessive dependence on external funding. Secondly, the lack of binding legislative powers. And thirdly, the frequent internal frictions that threaten the cohesion and credibility of the institution. Fourthly, the fragmentation of implementation policies in the member states, the failure to implement necessary institutional reforms, which must, however, take into account and reflect the unique mandate of this body, and finally, the lack of effective accountability and monitoring mechanisms. These 6 major challenges do not diminish the value of the institution, but remind us of the need for a profound renewal of political commitment, the integration of national and regional agendas, and the mobilization of an active and aware citizenry. It is crucial that this institution be given the means, autonomy, and legitimacy it needs to fulfill its mandate with firmness, transparency, and lasting impact. Only in this way, we believe it will continue to be a true engine of transformation for the continent and a beacon of hope for future generations. Excellencies, the Republic of Angola, in the exercise of its mandate as President pro tempore of the African Union, representing Southern Africa, reiterates its willingness and readiness to continue cooperating with the Pan-African Parliament, seeking to strengthen its technical and operational capacities, following the example of the decisions adopted by the Executive Council on the proposal of the Permanent Representatives Committee, and this has been already stressed by His Excellency, our President. In addition to re-establishing the final status quo before COVID, it is absolutely essential to affirm this august institution not only as a consultative body, but as a real legislative driving force in the African integration process, as well as an active and permanent defender of the legitimate interests of the peoples of our continent, both within and outside its geographical borders. In this spirit of fraternal cooperation and collective construction, allow us to present 10 recommendations that we believe are essential and decisive for the institutional strengthening of this important organ of the African Union. The first one has to do with the need to ensure that the conduct of parliamentarians is guided by mutual respect and is rooted in the principles and objectives that led to the creation of the African Union, enshrined in its constitutive act, namely the promotion of peace, security and stability, unity, sustainable development and inclusive economic integration, the defense of national sovereignty, territorial integrity and common interests, as well as the strengthening of international cooperation. The second recommendation has to do with the need to intensify parliamentary diplomacy to speed up the ratification of the Malabo Protocol within member states, so as to give the Pan-African Parliament binding legislative powers, enabling it to legislate authoritatively on matters of common interest at the level of the continent. The third recommendation, to articulate with national and regional parliaments for the creation of formal legislative coordination mechanisms capable of promoting normative harmonization and the coherence of public policies. The fourth is to comply with and enforce the Executive Council's decision to hold elections of the PAP Bureau in February 2026, as well as to finalize the alignment of the rules of procedure with the PAP protocol in relation to mandates and reiterate the principle of rotation, the report of which should have been presented to the Executive Council held this July in Malabo. As President of the Bureau of the PRC, I will endeavor to ensure that this decision is implemented. The sixth recommendation is to accelerate the process of harmonization of the allowances and benefits of AU bodies in order to re-establish the emoluments of PAP members. This exercise will improve the functioning of the PAP and its members in terms of efficiency and performance. The seventh recommendation is to continue to formulate model laws on various themes in collaboration with the specialized technical committees and other organs of the African Union, as well as strengthen technical and administrative capacity building with a particular focus on continuous training for parliamentarians and their support staff in areas such as international law, parliamentary diplomacy, public policy formulation, governance, budget management, and conflict prevention and mediation. The ninth recommendation, to promote a culture of accountability by setting up independent monitoring, auditing, and evaluation mechanisms to guarantee transparency and responsibility in the management of resources, as well as consolidating the trust of citizens and member states in this August Parliamentary House. The last recommendation has to do with the need to establish structural and permanent channels for dialogue with civil society to ensure that the multiple voices of the continent, especially of the younger generations, are heard and represented in the continental political and legislative process of the continent. And it will obviously be important to refer to the fact that there's a need to implement the conclusions of the joint consultative meeting between the Peace and Security Council of the African Union and the Pan-African Parliament, held in this House on the 17th and 18th of this month, with the aim of coordinating the efforts of the PSC and PAP, complementing each other in addressing the challenges of governance, peace, and security on the continent. Excellencies, along these lines, cooperation between the parliaments of the AU member states and the Pan-African Parliament is absolutely important for strengthening democracy and governance on the continent. Through collective and concerted action, these parliamentary institutions can thus make a real contribution to harmonize their national legislation with continental objectives, to also promote better implementation of AU policies, as well as to improve the representation of African citizens at continental level, in particular by strengthening the voice of the various peoples that make up our continent in the supranational decision-making process. This synergy makes it essential to create a space for uninterrupted dialogue on common challenges such as governance, peace, security, and sustainable development. One of the priority strategic lines of the Republic of Angola, as chairperson in office of the African Union, under the leadership of His Excellency President João Manuel Gonçalves Lourenço, with a view to consolidating our continent's ambition for political and economic integration. The institutionalization of the space for dialogue will certainly strengthen the legitimacy of the PAP as a bulwark for African governance. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to reiterate that this session represents a unique opportunity to reaffirm with clarity and conviction our shared commitment to strengthening continental integration, the effective empowerment of our citizens, and the ethical and political imperative of repairing centuries of injustice. May it result in consistent proposals, concrete guidelines, and a renewed mobilization of African member states, institutions, and societies around the values of justice, dignity, and cohesion. Historical justice can no longer be postponed, Excellencies. The time for reparation is now. The dignity of our peoples demands determined, courageous, and transformative action, equal to the challenges of the present and the legitimate aspirations of future generations. Thank you very much.
See, before you move from where you are, I thought I should shake your hands and say, thank you very much for standing by the podium. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Photographers, don't doubt, don't hesitate. Thank you very much for the presence. We have never been addressed by a PRC chair, I think, since formation of PAP. So this is a great day in the presence of the chair of the budget committee and other members of the PRC. So this is unique and a great day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, SP African culture, visitors don't just go without a goat. And now when you're in town, the goats appear like this. So this is your goat to take with you.
Thank you.
Sorry? Yes. Let's have more photographs. Yes. Go ahead. Thank you. We have given him the podium.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mongo, thanks.
So, I think take
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. No, so can you come
Okay. By direction of the President of Parliament, I would like to invite the first Vice President to deliver a vote of thanks.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Shukran.
In the name of Allah, thank you, Mr. President. Peace be upon you. On behalf of the Parliament, PAP, I would like to welcome you all. I would like to welcome our guests, standing on all protocol. Thank you so much for welcoming us in this session. I would like to thank you for being here with us. In fact, we feel your support. We feel your support. Together, we can enhance the role of PAP in order to fulfill its mandate towards our beloved continent. Once again, with all languages, the languages of the African Union, I'm welcoming you. I'm thanking you. Thanks a lot. Peace be upon you.
Announcements, Clark.
All honorable members, VIP guests, and any heads of organ that may have joined us are invited for a family photograph to be taken outside this chamber to the right on the lawn. The second announcement is that there will be a press conference here in the chamber, which will also serve as an opportunity for the Pan-African Parliament and the African Peer Review Mechanism to sign an MOU to launch their commitment to a closer working collaboration. Lunch today will be served at Gallagher Hotel, and there'll be bus shuttles from outside this chamber, shuttling delegates to Gallagher. The afternoon program will be meetings of regional caucuses. For Northern Africa Caucus, Committee Room 1, Central Africa Caucus, Committee Room 2, Eastern, Committee Room 3, Southern, Committee Room 8, and Western here in the chamber. These are the announcements, Excellency. Thank you.
Caucuses will be at 3:30. Caucus meetings, because of the time delay, 3:30 for caucuses. So the House adjourned until tomorrow 9 a.m. I thank you.
Was unfair.
Anthem, sorry, anthem. Adjourned tomorrow, but before we leave, the AU anthem.
Celebrate together. There is a song for our liberation. Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together to defend our liberty and unity. Oh, peace and fear that African shall be solid, shall this year. Thoughts of better Africa, where the be. Let us all united see together to honor the bond of grandma destiny. Let us dedicate ourselves to fight together for life, peace and justice on earth. Speak after Africa, essência do sol, essência do céu. Façamos da África da vida. Let us all unite and talk together to give the best we have to Africa. And bring the long mankind the front of culture.
Thank you, muito obrigado. Family